A function is the method you can use to group statements to perform a single task in JavaScript. So the way to think of it is you're going to group the statements together, give that a name, and it really is just a mini program that sits inside of your script. And then you can choose to run those statements anytime you like, as many times as you like. What you'll find with functions is there are a lot of terms to remember, and there's a lot of functionality that exists within a function. There are a lot of things you can do with it. Let's look at a sample in your book. So, like I said, a function is a group of statements, and this is the sample for the syntax. You have the keyword function that must be there, and then here is a name that you'll come up with. Your name should be short. It should be meaningful, it should be action-oriented, and it should follow the same rules as the variable names follow. The next thing you'll see is what's called a parameter list. Parameters are things or values that can come inside of the function from outside to be used inside of the function. So in this case, you're sending in an XYZ, and XYZ looks like it's going to be a value as in a number. And that number is going to be those numbers are going to be added together. The next thing you'll see is the statements themselves. So open brace, close brace with some statements inside. So notice that you can declare a variable inside, you can perform arithmetic, then you can do a display statement. There's a lot you can do. Now, this parameter list here can also be empty. It doesn't have to have values coming in. It could have X, Y, and Z declared inside of the function, not coming from outside. Okay, so this is called your function definition. And then in order to run these statements, you have to do what is called call a function, right? So right here is your function call. It is only the function name and then the values that it needs inside the parentheses. So in this case, you're sending it a 2 for X, a 5 for Y, and a 3 for Z. It's going to put the 2 into X in the order in which it finds it, right? 5 is going to go into Y because that came next. And 3 into Z because that came last. And so here you're seeing, about to call the function, calls the function, performs it, displays to the console, and then returns. So if you execute these statements here, okay, so this is going to explain to you, I'll just speed this up, I just want to see the execution here, right? So there are the numbers, 2, 5, and 3. And then in the next statement, you're going to see the sum of those numbers, and that's stored in sum. And then lastly, you're going to see the display out to the console. Now you return, and then you display that last statement. So this is a good example of a basic function. If I take you over to our code, and we write one ourselves, okay, in this example here, I don't have anything happening just yet. I have the body tag and then the script inside. So I'm going to create some code down here, and you can have function called display heading, and display heading doesn't need any data, but I still need my parentheses, and then open, close curly brace, and inside I'm going to simply write out to the console. Okay, and so if I were to run my code just like this, let me just indent here so you can see this is inside the script, nothing would happen. This would not run, all right? So if I save this, and launch the page, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. All right, this is not helpful in the least. Okay, and you see nothing displays here. So what you need to do is you need to actually call the function in order for the function to run. It's not letting me switch screens here. right? And so a function call can happen up top, it can happen down below, anywhere, and I'll just make it here. I'll add in the function call, and it is the function name. Okay, just like that, it's going to call the function. So now run this, and there it is. See, and it's unconditional, so there's nothing around it that says, you know, based on this, make this happen. Now, okay, so let's go ahead and try another. And here, I'm going to add in another function, and we'll do something similar. We can do display sum, open brace, close brace, and in here, we're going to, let's just do x plus y right in the console. We're not even going to create a variable for it. And what I'm going to do is I'll have x and y come in from outside. Okay? All right, so what you would do up here is you would create a variable x. It doesn't need to be named x. Here, let's call it num1. Num1, and we'll set num1 equal to 5, and then we'll do a num2, set that equal to 10. And now when you call display sum, you're going to send it num1 and num2. And the way this is interpreted, okay, so the way this is interpreted is this is a 5 right here. That 5 will get assigned to x. That'll be your first number. The 10 gets assigned to num2. Okay, so that gets assigned to the y. And so here you would have a 5 and a 10. And in fact, if you want, you can display it. And you can use our template literals. Let's just see. X is x. And then do the same, do the same thing with y. Just copy this guy. Okay. And so now when I run it, right, and it shows you that x is 5, y is 10, and the sum is 15. Okay, and the way you saw that happening is by virtue of the function definition and the function call. So here, this is your function call. Okay, and again, remembering that the function call is only the function name and the parameter list. So the parameter list is the parentheses and anything inside. And then the function definition is made up of the statements to execute. Okay, so usually I like to see some comments around each function. So here you would want to say, and you might even create a block, but you could say display heading, and then what display heading does. Displays a statement to the console. Right, and this is very easy, very easy to read, so that when you come to the next one, it's a great way to differentiate and be able to see where one function begins and ends. Okay. One other thing I want to demonstrate with functions is functions can return values. That means bring a value back to the point of call. So take a look at this function here. So here's your keyword function. Here's your name, find average. Find average takes in one value, two values, right? And then it averages them together. And notice there's this keyword return. Notice there's no equal sign here. It just simply performs the calculation and it brings the value back. So when you call the function, notice here is your function call. find average, sending it a 6, sending it a 7. Notice how there is an equal sign here and a variable on the left. That return is going to take the answer and it's going to make all of this go away and instead take the answer and put it into the variable av. Right? And so if you walk through this animation in section 4.9.4 in your book, you'll be able to see how a function returning a value works.